Hello, Hannah. As per usual, we'll wait for a few people to join. Hi, Shan. Hi, Tia, Katie. Hi, Tash. Hello, Holly. So I'll let the people who are joining get to about 15 and then we'll start. But hello to everyone who's joined so far. Hi. Hello. Okay, that'll do. So let's get started. Good evening, everyone, and welcome to another fabulous talk with peer-to-peer. So just to give you guys a little insight into what today's live will be about. So today we're actually going to be covering healthy and unhealthy relationships, and today is actually going to be a super special live because we're going to have our own CEO, who is also my sister, who's going to be joining the live today with myself to discuss her personal experience of being in a unhealthy and toxic relationship. Just to kind of put a disclaimer out there and just give people a little bit of a heads up, some of the stuff that we will be discussing today might be a little bit sensitive, and may touch a few nerves, and obviously anyone who doesn't feel comfortable, please feel free to leave. If anything is too sensitive or if someone does feel extremely uncomfortable, we will we'll take no offence in if you want to leave. So as per usual, just to kind of cover what we're going to be going through in the live today. So first things first, let's just kind of speak about what domestic abuse actually is. Now, a lot of people, when they think about domestic abuse and when they hear about someone who's going through or is in a domestic abusive relationship, they immediately think that it's someone's being slapped around or someone's being hit, etc., or physically harmed. Now, that is one of the factors of abuse when it comes to domestic abuse, but there are other factors as well, such as emotional abuse. So that could be someone continuously knocking you down, continuously telling you that you're not worthy, continuously telling you that you should change the way you do certain things, or they're not happy with the way that you're acting, etc. Another one, which is a massive one, is sexual abuse. Now, this could be your partner. You could have been with your partner for years, but this could be your partner actually forcing themselves on you, forcing you to perform sexual acts. This also is related to young people and children as well. So any kind of form of abuse, whether it's with your partner or whether it's on your children, your stepchildren, etc., any form of abuse. So like we said, physical, sexual. So like I said, someone forcing themselves on you, forcing you to perform sexual acts, having sex with you without your consent, all of that comes under sexual abuse. And then you've got financial abuse as well. So that could be someone being in complete control of all of your finances. You don't have any money to your name. They are completely in control of doing the food shopping, paying the bills, giving you your allowance or something like that for you to be able to go out and buy something for yourself. So yeah, I just wanted to kind of touch on the different types of abuse, because like I said, a lot of people just automatically assume that it is just down to physical abuse when it's not. It could be things that are not physical at all and could be under the surface. So just a couple of stats for you guys. We've done a bit of research. This is what we try and speak to our young people about and give them actual hard facts, so that they know that it is definitely going on in the world, and what they also need to be looking out for as well. So on here, we've got a quarter of young people exposed to domestic violence go on to demonstrate harmful behaviour within their own relationships. So that is once they've kind of got to a stage where they're developing their own relationships, whether that's in a same-sex relationship, whether that's relationship with their friends, their family, if that's a heterosexual relationship, whatever they want to do, they then start portraying those similar forms of abuse or violence, whatever it is, they start to then carry that forward into their current relationships, which can be a massive detriment to their life. We know that we've watched so many documentaries and read so many stories about people who have suffered abuse as a child or as a young person, and have actually gone on to commit worse crimes, or gone on to actually commit murder or rape or anything like that themselves, because that's all they know, that's what they've been taught, and that's what they've been exposed to for such a long period of time in their lives, that they don't know any different from it. Then another statistic, 2 women a week, I mean, this is a quite a common one that a lot of people have heard about, is 2 women a week are killed by a current or former partner in England and Wales alone, right? So that's not even covering any areas outside of that, any other countries or anything like that. 2 women a week are killed by their partner. I just want you to let that sink in, because I think that as a statistic is mental, and I struggle to kind of comprehend it and understand why the numbers are so high. And then the last one that we've got is 15% of men aged 16 to 59 have experienced some form of domestic abuse since the age of 16. Now, this could, like what I covered before, this could be any emotional abuse, physical abuse, financial abuse, anything like that. That 15% of men have actually experienced some form of abuse. So what we're going to do now is we're going to bring Hina on. She's going to actually give us an insight into, unfortunately, what she went through from quite a young age. And she's going to be just kind of speaking to you guys and letting you guys know what her situation was, and also how she's dealing with it, because what we said last time is that we don't want these lives to be completely negative. We want to be able to put out ways that people can deal with this kind of stuff, the way that friends and families can deal with this kind of stuff, and the signs that you guys need to be looking out for if it is one of your loved ones, things that you can be looking out for as well, to ensure that you're keeping your friends and family safe, and that you can look out for them and make sure that they're not kind of going through the same thing. So Hina, if you want to request to join, please. Sorry guys, we'll just wait for her to do this. 1 sec, let me see if I can. Oh, there we go. So I've just sent her a request. So what we'll do as well, guys, is we will we'll also cover the kind of signs that you can look out for as well going forward. Hello.
Hi. I'm so nervous.
Don't be. Yeah, so I just said to these guys, you know, we're just gonna kind of go through what you went through. We'll start from the kind of beginning and the signs that you started to see to make you question whether this relationship was still staying on a healthy track. So if you want to just kind of let us know how you met. What should we call him? Should we call him Tom today?
The bastard.
That's what we're calling, but we'll keep.
That's what I call him. So, guys, I don't say his name anymore. I don't feel like he's worthy of a name. So, I'm sorry if there's any young people or underage people on here, but that's his name. Okay, so
Yeah,
I just want to say quickly that bear with me if I get a bit stumbly or emotional. I already had a little cry before I came on, because the majority of people that know me don't know that I've been through this. For the majority of my school life, I was going through it, but I was always that bubbly, happy person in school. And then when I came out of school, it was a completely different story. So bear with me if I cry, send me a hug or something. Okay, so I met him at my brother's christening. He was one of our family, or kind of family members' foster child. He was the most stunning guy like ever, very groomed, and thinking about it now, that was probably super weird that he was groomed head to toe, like he'd have Air Forces on and they'd be pristine, not one crease, they'd be super white. His hair was always done, like not one curl was out of place. His clothes were ironed, not one crease, and they're all kind of traits of like a psychopath or narcissist and all that sort of stuff. So
and they want everything to kind of be perfect and in place. So
yeah. So we met there. I was 14, and I'd probably had like, a school boyfriend before that, but nothing proper. And he spoke to me and pulled me to the side and was like, "Oh, you're so beautiful." And like all our friends were there at the christening, so we all just chilled. Then he was in athletics, so started talking about that. At that time, I was running 800 meters sometimes, so that was a common thing. Anyway, we met like after school sometimes, and he got to know my family. Everybody loved him. Like, he was super friendly and lovey and whatever, and he would get me nice things like a ring and flowers all the time and chocolate and all that nice stuff that nice boyfriends do. So I thought I was safe, like nothing was going to happen to me. It was great. Then things started to get a bit weird. So like 800 meters, yes, I can't run to save my life now, but I used to be able to. Now I can't breathe after 2 minutes. Anyway, so he started commenting on the things that I would wear. So back then, like, I'd wear quite short skirts. You do that when you're in school. So he'd comment on how short my skirt was, or, "Oh, that outfit don't look too good." And bear in mind, I'm like 14, 15 at this point. So why are you telling me what to wear? Then he started saying that my best friend at the time was moving to him, and then like me and her would argue, and we fell out. So that was another person off my list. Then he started saying, "Oh, like, your mum and dad don't want you to be around me," or whatever, because they started picking up on signs like my behavior was changing. So I don't know if you want to say at that point how my behavior started to change.
I think we just kind of started noticing that you was secluding yourself a little bit. You were spending a lot of time in your room. You weren't really,
and with him.
So it was either with him or at home without him. You'd still be in your room on your phone. No one, like me and come into your room and sit down and chill with you. Like, you'd sit down and watch films with us as a family. Anything like that. So that was the first kind of sign. But you've got to remember as well, me and Iram at the time were both really young ourselves. Like, when it first started up with you was 14, I would have been 12 and Iram would have been 11. So neither of us are kind of mentally trained or have ever experienced someone going through an abusive relationship before. So we didn't know what to look for. We didn't know what the signs were. But all we started noticing was that you would kind of take yourself away from the family a little bit. But then at the same time, when I look back at it now, even if that was to kind of happen now, and I look at
it's a new relationship, so you're excited.
You're obsessed.
Yeah.
Like, I remember being in my first relationship with Jermaine, and like, I was completely obsessed with him. I wanted to be with him all the time, on my phone all the time. So even looking at it now, I wouldn't have looked at it like that was a warning sign straight away. Do you know what I mean? It's only when I look back.
Yeah, it's hard to differentiate. But then I think that in terms of phone and stuff like that, I always had to have my phone in my hand. And back then, if you think, social media wasn't a thing. Like, we just about had Blackberries. So I always had my phone in my hand, and that was because if he called me and I didn't answer my phone, like, I was getting a bollocking on the phone.
Yeah.
A massive one. And I'd sometimes pick up my phone if I didn't have it in my hand, and I'd have 100 missed calls.
Yeah.
And that, for me, I was thinking, oh, like, he's excited to be with me, and he loves me so much, and he just wants to talk to me all the time. And I felt sorry for him because he was in care, and like, he always played the victim. So, everyone else was doing bad stuff, and he was the one that was hard done by. So I felt like I was that support system, and he'd say, "You're the only person that loves me," and whatever. And everyone who knows me knows my nature. I'm like super maternal, lovey. Yeah. Well, most of the time. So yeah, so I think that came natural to me, but then he abused that.
Yeah.
So I think where it got really scary was I was 15. How old are you in your
what was the first like turning point that you was like, "Oh my God, what on earth has just happened? Why has he just done this?"
So I don't remember exactly how it got to this stage. Obviously, he's doing like little bits of controlling behavior, and I fell for it and didn't really question it. But then when it was coming up to my year 11 prom, I would never
Yeah.
forget this day.
Yeah.
So obviously every person in year 11 is looking forward to their prom. I thought I was going to go and do the big dress shopping with mum and you lot, and I didn't get to do that because he made sure I knew that I was not going to prom.
Yeah.
So he said, if you go to prom, like, you will know about it. So I was like to mum, oh, I don't really fancy going to prom. Oh, you know, like, I'm not friends with everyone that I used to be friends with or whatever. I'm probably going to be on my own. So no, I don't think I'll go. Mum was like, what are you talking about? You are going to prom. And I was like, oh, no. Anyway, it came down to the day, and he's reminded me every day, you're not going to prom, you're not going to prom, you're not going to prom. Came to the day of prom, and I was like, I've got to go to prom. Like, how can this guy tell me that I'm not going to prom? I'm going to do it, and if I get in trouble with him after, then, you know, it is what it is. Like, all my friends are going. So I said to mum, oh, I think I am going to go to prom. So she was like, well, you haven't got a dress. So I said, well, what have you got? So mum's like a big old woman. I'm 16, but I'm looking in her wardrobe for a dress. So I remember I looked absolutely awful. I hadn't washed my hair. I'd like slicked it back, kind of how it looks now, unwashed. I'd slicked it back, and I had like two curly things here, and I wore this like hot pink boob tube dress, hideous.
Chloe, it was like
flowy.
it had the sweetheart.
I would never have chosen it. I thought I was going to wear a long gown.
Yeah.
Anyway, so I've put on this dress, and I've gone to prom, switched off my phone. I think I even took the battery out, left it at home. So the next thing, he had been, and I don't know how I think he called my best friend at the time or something, or somebody else called, maybe mum called my friend and said that he's been calling mum non-stop, saying like, where am I? And mum said, oh, she's gone out, but hasn't said where I've gone. And bear in mind, mum doesn't know anything, so
Yeah.
she's not said where I've gone or whatever. Anyway, so he has sent one of his friends to my house, a girl. This girl was like the most intimidating girl that you could ever see, right? I hated her. She turned up to my house and knocked on the door and was like, oh, I'm just knocking for Hina. Mum doesn't know who she is. She thinks that she's a friend. Said, oh, I'm just knocking for Hina. And mum was like, oh, she's gone to her prom. Like, you know, all happy. So the girl's gone and told the bastard. The bastard turned up at the school waiting for me to come back from prom. Yeah. So our bus, I've enjoyed the night. I'm getting tingles in my arms now. I've enjoyed the night, got back to the school gates and the big coach with everyone. And I see him standing there. My heart sunk. I started crying and I really didn't know what to do. Charisse, you're commenting, but you was with me. You saved me, Charisse, that day. Charisse gave me her hoodie and I put it at, oh my God, I feel ill. I put the hoodie on and I, sorry.
Oh, gosh. It's all right. For minutes, it's fine. Oh, sorry, I'm getting emotional too.
Sorry. I put the hoodie on and I asked the driver to let me off the coach and I ran round the corner and I called my mum and I said, Mum, you need to come and get me now. And she didn't know why. I just said, you need to come and get me now. So Mum came. She asked me lots of questions, but I didn't tell her anything. And so I don't remember the excuse that I made now, but I made some sort of an excuse. And that's one of the key things, that you lie all the time just so that you're safe and so your family are safe.
Yeah.
Sorry, I will get over this in a minute. I've just never ever shared my story before to anybody apart from
this is such a big
my
topic,
yeah, and I feel like it's going to be key in like healing as well, but it needs to be said because I don't know who's watching, but I might make a difference today to some young person, so I'll do it. I think I'm over it now. Oh God, ignore bogey. Right. Okay, so then after that, Oh, sorry, I missed the key point. Sorry. Before prom, so you know you have your last day at school with your leaving assembly, and then everyone signs each other's shirts and says bye or whatever, even though you're seeing them later that day. Um, he turned up to my school, so I couldn't say bye to everybody. This was before I'd gone back and said I was going to prom. He took me to the subway that was around the corner from school, where nobody could see me because obviously all the teachers are outside. And he said, if you go to prom, this is what you're going to get times whatever amount. And he gave me the first slap. And that was on my face. And I was 16. I was 16 and somebody put their hands on me. So that was the first time. And after that, obviously, when somebody's touched you the first time, then you don't know how to deal with it after. I thought, oh, well,
Oh no. Sorry, guys.
After that, it just became very easy for him to control me and abuse me in whatever way he wanted. So that was the first time. After that, so he...
One sec. Does it come back? Can everyone just confirm that Hina's come back, or back? Oh, you're back.
Oh, sorry, guys. My internet's not that good.
If you have it just on your mobile data.
No, that's worse. That's worse.
Oh.
Yeah, right. So after that first time, he was 1 year older than me, and because he was in care, he got given his own accommodation. So like one of those assisted living places.
Kind of places.
Yeah, kind of like that. It was the darkest place ever. Like the vibe was just off. There was loads of people that weren't, I don't know, they were just horrid there. Probably like took drugs and things like that there. Am I gone again?
No, your voice has gone a bit weird.
Oh, hang on. What about now?
Try and sit right next to the computer.
Oh, God, my phone's on charge, guys. This is killing me.
Sorry, guys.
And no light over here. Okay, what about now?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, so he's in this assisted living, and so now there's no adults around him that we know. So before, when he was in care, he was living with our family, kind of. And so I felt kind of protected at their house. He would still like hit me, but not like massive abuse. Just, well, I say not massive, but it was still like slapping and that. And then he moved into this place, and it meant that he could do whatever he wanted whenever he wanted. So he'd make it so that I would go and visit him rather than him coming to my house. At this point, my mum and Royston and my dad and everyone hated him, so he wasn't allowed at our house. So the physical abuse and the emotional abuse got really bad there. Like I remember, I have, what arm is it on? Gone. Oh, here, look. I don't know if you can see. Yep. He burnt me with a lighter there. So he lit the lighter and then let the flame go out and then dug it into my arm. And I don't actually, I said to my mum and my dad that I fell on the lighter. Like, I'm laughing because it sounds so ridiculous, but you literally have to think of any excuse as to how you got these injuries. So at that place, he whipped me with a belt loads of times that sometimes I wouldn't be able to go home. I couldn't drive or anything there at that age. So I'd get on the train and I could just about sit on the train or the bus because my bum and my thighs and everything would be so bruised and swollen. What else did he do? He just got in my head so much at that point, like saying that I was isolated, nobody was there for me, that my mum and dad was talking rubbish. He didn't start sexual abuse then, but he would say like I couldn't take birth control and things like that, so I got pregnant. And at that age, I was 17. I didn't know whether to keep the baby or not, and this is a lot of information to share on Insta, but I think at this point I just let it all out. And I've never ever said this before, so I don't know what I'm doing, but he.
So what I would kind of, just to give an insight into people who, insight to people of mine and my sister's kind of perspective and what happened. So for me personally, obviously I can't speak for Iram too much because she's not on the live, but for me personally, I had a very, very close relationship with him, with my family, and I stayed around his house. I met his freaking like, it frightens me and it scares me that someone who was so nice to me, like he would come and pick me up from school, he'd drop me home, he'd do the whole like big brother-in-law, like I thought he was amazing, do you know what I mean? I thought, wow, like he turned up at the school with his music blaring out of his bloody Peugeot, the blue Peugeot or whatever he had.
Oh.
Come
It's
God, like so cool. Yeah, my brother-in-law's car, wow, this is amazing. But on the backside of things, he was doing all of this stuff to you. And even till this day, it infuriates me and it makes me so angry. And I know I shouldn't say it, but let me catch him. Let me catch him. And I'm gonna
let me catch him. I don't know if I'm allowed to say this on here, but you know, for a long time,
that, but let me
yeah, for a long time, even, and I haven't finished sharing what happened, but just while you've said that, for a long time, even though the abuse had ended and he was gone, I won't say how he's gone, but he's gone away, I still felt so scared for my life every day. Yeah. I always thought he's gonna catch me one time and I've made his life harder now and he's gonna come and do something to me. But let me tell you now, since I've had my kids, and I have to put them first and their safety first. And I know Jay's watching now and he's going to think, like, don't even talk about this stuff because it makes him go wild. But if he was to ever try to come near me now, I swear it would be, like you lot say, curtains for man. He couldn't, even if I didn't touch him, right, my mental space, I don't know, my head is completely different to how it was when I was with him. He was only able to abuse me physically and everything else because he was in my head. Now I'm a different person. I'm strong. I can raise a family. I work. I have a company. I drive. I have my own car. My snot's running because my tears. But I know, Tia. I'm just a completely different person, so he couldn't do nothing now, and that took a long time for me to understand and to learn that I am bigger than what he knew me to be. So yeah, so that's just a bit about that.
We haven't finished your story at all. There's still
so
but just like if you want, I don't know if you'll feel comfortable with it, but just listing, maybe if you just go through the different ways that he abused you, because obviously we spoke about before, there's emotional abuse, there's financial abuse. So if you start with emotional abuse, what kind of things would he say to you to kind of make you feel less than your worth or anything like that? What kind of things would he say to you?
What would he say to me? Okay, so bear in mind, guys, this is a long time ago. So the last time I saw him was in person was 2010. So I got to try and remember. He just like comment on my physical appearance, and I think the more of the emotional side was that I had no one. That's what he led me to believe. Even though you guys, all of you, were trying so badly to be present in my life, he made it out that everyone else was out to get us, and he was the person that I needed to be with. And if I wanted to be with him and if he could be with me, everybody else had to be gone.
Yeah.
And so that was hard, because at one point, me, you and Iram were sharing one bedroom at Dad's house. Yeah. On the weekend. So I'd be on the phone to him and I'd be bawling my eyes out because I would have found out that he's cheated on me several times, or he's saying like, why are you at your dad's house? I wasn't allowed to be at my dad's house for some reason. So I'd be in trouble that I was there. So I'd be crying that like I'm scared to go back home because he's going to be there. And everyone would know when he's coming down the road because he'd blare the music. So I remember one time, I might be going off topic, but one time he called me and I was at dad's house and he was like, oh, can't you hear me outside? And I was like, huh? And obviously he's outside mum's house, because he didn't know that I was still going to dad's house. So he was like, can't you hear me? And I was like, oh, I'm just in the toilet or in the back room or whatever. And he was like, but you always hear me come down the road, come outside. I'm like, oh, like I can't come outside. And he's like, why can't you come outside? I had to make one piece of excuse. And he was like, your bedroom light's not on, because my bedroom was at the front of the house. So I was like, oh yeah, because I don't know, in the toilet or something, I must have said. So he was like, all right, we'll go in your room and turn your light on then, if you're there. So I had to call Royston, our stepdad, and say, can you go and turn my light on, please? And he was like, what for? And I was like, oh, can you just turn it on? Like, well, I don't know why, but can you just turn the light on? So he went and turned the light on. Then the bastard's still calling me, saying, come outside, come out, like shouting on the phone, come outside. And his shout, like, I've never heard anything like it. So yeah, so I was like, I can't come outside. So then I said, I'm grounded, like Royston's not going to let me outside. So I called Royston. I said, can you go outside and tell the bastard that I can't come out because I'm grounded? And he was like, oh, what for? And I said, oh, we've just had an argument or something, and I don't want to see him, just say that I'm grounded. So he went out, said I'm grounded, and the bastard didn't believe me, but eventually he went. So that was like one thing that I just had to think on the spot all the time. And dad was like, why don't you want to come here? Like, why don't we have a relationship anymore? And he didn't know what was going on. He thought it was to do with the bastard, but didn't know the extent of what was happening. So that was some of the emotional stuff.
Just to kind of I remember one thing. I don't know if you want to kind of touch on this story, because it's one that, I mean, it's one of many that stays with me whenever I think about the situation. But one of the things,
just be open. Like, I know I got upset, but just share. I don't mind.
Yeah, no, there's a couple of things that I want to share. One of the things was, I remember telling us afterwards that he used to make you wear your glasses all the time, and there would be kind of repercussions if you didn't wear your glasses. And the situation happened. I don't know if you want to.
On the bus?
On the bus, yeah.
I don't know why I feel nervous again. I forget that one happened. So in school, when I had my fresh eyebrows, I weren't too bad of a looker. And I had male friends, which he didn't know about. I weren't doing anything with them, but just friends. And so he would make me wear my glasses. Everyone who knows me knows I'm blind as a bat, but I don't like to wear my glasses. So he used that as a form of control and was like, whenever you're not with me, you must wear your glasses. So like sometimes he'd call me while I'm at school and say, oh, have you got your glasses on? And I'd be like, oh yeah. And I wouldn't, because I'd say to them that I'm wearing them, but I'm really not. So one time I was getting the bus to his house. At that point, thanks guys. At that point, he lived in Chadwell Heath, so I had to get 86, I think it was, from Ilford to Chadwell Heath. And I didn't have my glasses on because I thought, well, I'm not there yet, so I might as well, enjoy my time without my glasses. He called me and said, have you got your glasses on? I said, yes. He said, are you sure? I said, yes. I went to get on the bus. Somebody came on the bus behind me, dragged me by my hair down the bus, got my glasses, threw them on the floor, got my phone, threw it on the floor, smashed my phone, literally grabbing me by my hair on the bus and pulled me off of it. Nobody helped me. Not one person. I was in my uniform. I was crying my eyes out. My things were all on the floor. And he was dragging me by my hair, and not one person got up. Not one person. On that day, I think we got back on another bus, eventually went to his house together. He took me to a park near his house, went to the back of the park where no one was, and he held me up against the railings or something and put something sharp on my neck. He told me that it was a knife. I don't know if it actually was a knife, but I felt a point on my neck. And at that point, I thought, I can't, I can't say no to this guy. Like, I have to listen to everything that he says because otherwise, my life is going to be over. He will do bad things to me. So that was one thing, and that was before he moved into the assisted accommodation. From the assisted accommodation, he moved to his own full on flat. This was the scariest place to be. I for a long time I couldn't get over what happened to me there. So this is when the sexual abuse started. So he raped me every time I went there, on like numerous times a day. He'd make me stay there even when I wasn't going to stay there. And I think I must have been late 17, 18, definitely. I didn't want to perform oral sex, and he would force me to perform oral sex as a punishment. So whenever I didn't listen, he'd make me do it. I've never ever told anyone that before because it makes me feel really sick. But yeah, sorry, this is a lot.
Don't have to go into too much detail. You can just say
Okay.
Forced you to perform sexual acts. You don't need to go into too much detail.
Okay. Well, he forced me to perform loads, and every time he'd beat me up physically, like proper beat up, where I had bruises everywhere, busted my lip and things like that, he would then have sex straight after to try and make things better or show his love to me or whatever. And I would just lie there. And I think for a lot of young people, they don't know that when you're in a relationship and you haven't given your consent to have sex or perform sexual acts or even to be touched, that is rape and that is sexual assault. And I didn't know that. I didn't know that for a long time.
That is so important to touch on. Is you could, like I said at the beginning of the live, you can be in a relationship with someone for 2, 5, 10, 11 years, and if they force you or you don't want to have sex with them or you don't want to perform sexual acts on them and they still force you to do it, it's still rape. It's still
you could be married.
You could be married.
And it's still rape.
You could do everything. You could literally do everything the way that you're supposed to do, the way that you're supposed to do it in life. And if your partner still forces themselves on you, you can actually still go to the police and file a report. You can. It's still rape. It still comes under the category of rape.
But a lot of people don't because of the fear and the stigma about talking about sex. And I think for me, that's why I didn't talk about it for a long time. Not the overall abuse, but the sexual side. I really had a problem talking about it because who does talk about it? Nobody talks about being raped, especially by somebody they're in a relationship with. And I think when I got with Jay, that was hard. Like, without going into too much detail, but I'd want to be very limited about things in the bedroom because I was so traumatized by what had happened to me before, and it's taken me a long time to get over the sexual stuff. And that was the most that was the most dehumanizing thing I've ever experienced, ever in my life. For somebody to be able to go in my body or use my body without me saying it's okay, and that's how you're supposed to show your love to me, is shocking to me still.
Yeah.
And I thought, up until today, I thought that I'd got over a lot of stuff, but clearly I haven't.
You'll never get over it. You just learn to deal with it and realize that that's now part of your story and it's part of your life. But the one thing that I will say, as your sister looking in, and your sister or one of your sisters who have been there for you and basically been through it with you, because I won't say too much because we'll speak about what the kind of end result was of everything, but going through that whole kind of stage and stuff like that, I can't like even begin to imagine what you went through and the fact that you went through it by yourself and how amazing you've been since that, and how shocked, because you got to remember, some people, it pushes them to suicide. It pushes them to wanting to end their own lives. Someone could get raped one time in their life by a stranger, and they then feel like they don't want to continue their life. to have gone through that for all of that time, and then to have come out on the other end to now be in a happy relationship with two beautiful babies that I love so much. A lot of people are not mentally strong and are not actually strong enough to continue their life as if it's normal. It just traumatizes them too much. So don't ever kind of
I'm gonna use Lucas' sock to wipe my tears.
don't ever like doubt yourself, or like that you're less worthy, or think that because you've been through it, that you made any mistakes back then. So young, you was infatuated with an extremely handsome man who was charming in every way, shape or form, even with your me in particular was extremely charming. Yeah, said she hated him. We all hated him. I had some love towards him because he obviously made me feel that way, but he was cold, he was calculated, he was manipulative, he was evil. That's the only way that
evil. He knew exactly what he was doing, and
he was a nasty.
He made me feel like every time it was my fault. I deserved to get that beating or whatever it was. I was the one that was, I don't know, stepped out of line or wore the wrong clothing, or like my whole dress sense changed. Yep. My whole dress sense. I'd wear long sleeves. I always get this Facebook memory, right, of a Mother's Day, and we had gone to Mum's workplace, all of us, the whole Jai family, and it was hot in March, I think it was, and I was wearing a short sleeve white dress that came like below my knee, and I had jeans on underneath and a jean jacket on top of that. What, like, I would never wear that. That is not fashion. That is not. That's not fashion.
That's not fashion at all.
But
as well, just like we'll go over the kind of signs and stuff that people need to look for. But that could also be, obviously he's how to dress and he's telling you what to wear, but that could also potentially be someone covering up their bruises, any injury.
Yeah, and like I weren't allowed to shave my legs or anything like that, or even show my legs or my arms really. So I'd find any sort of clothing that kind of went together. Liz, why do you remember that outfit?
I remember that. That hideous black dress. Too bad.
Well, every time I see that picture of me, you, Iram and Renee and Mum together, it makes, like, I'm happy to see us with Mum, but I get upset a little bit because that reminds me that that was not me, and I was this thin.
Yeah.
Anybody that would look at me would think that I was anorexic because I was this thin. I'd eat and stuff, but because of all the stress, and I was probably depressed and like super sad.
Yeah.
I just couldn't keep the weight on at all. And I remember his auntie used to say to me, "Why are you so thin? Like, what is going on with you? Don't you eat?" And I was like, "Well, yeah." And she was like, "Well, what's he doing to you?" And he overheard that one time, and he beat me so bad because he said that I was making it clear that he was abusing me.
But that is
so
sickening. That he's worried about other people knowing that what he's doing to you, and he's just got he's got no shit, and then you have to basically deal with the wrath of anyone else kind of questioning what's going on or anything like that. It's just sickening. It really is. But
yeah,
well, a couple of situations that we spoke about briefly earlier. One of the situations was, I remember coming into your room once and you were just distraught, like you were puffy-eyed, you had obviously been crying, and you didn't look great, I'll be completely honest. Like, you looked really stressed out. So I've come in and I've asked you, like, what's going on, what's wrong? And then you've openly told me that you've been raped, but you didn't specify who had actually raped you. To my knowledge, it was a random person.
That was when I had got pregnant by it.
Yeah.
Because I remember I asked you to go and tell Mum that I'm pregnant, and I asked you to tell her that I'd been raped, and that's why I was pregnant, because I didn't want Mum to think that I was out there. Obviously, she was teaching the same lessons that we teach now. Remember, guys, this was Mum's company. Yeah. She was doing it as a different name before, but she was teaching people not to get pregnant at a young age. So for me to come home and say, "Mum, I'm pregnant," at what was I, 17, I felt so embarrassed. And obviously it wasn't my fault, but I was still thinking about everyone else in that situation. So I had been raped, but I'd been raped by him. Therefore, I'd got pregnant and he didn't allow me to take any contraception. He wouldn't wear a condom. Oh, by the way, that's also rape. If
Yeah.
you've said specifically that you want your partner to wear a condom and they don't, and they continue to have sex with you, that's rape, guys.
Yeah.
A lot of people don't know that as well. So, I'd asked you to go and tell mum. So I don't know how that went down, but well, I don't remember. But mum was livid.
The thing is she was fuming. It's so weird that I was the one that told mum when you was pregnant, and you were the one
And then you got me.
told mum when I was
I just put in my jumper and I'm still listening because I'm shivering now.
told mum. Oh, all right, sorry. So yeah, it is. I think her reaction was that she was upset, definitely, but I also feel like she knew what was going on. She knew, but
She did, because she tried to intervene a lot.
yeah. So her showing you like videos of people going through domestic abuse or people speaking out about the things that they've been through.
She told me to watch Sleeping with the Enemy.
Yeah.
Which is a film with Julia Roberts in it. So if, it's really old, but if anyone wants to see, like, apart from Murdered by My Boyfriend, if anyone wants to see like how abuse can happen in another relationship, watch that. When I watched that, I was like, oh my God, because before that, I knew what he was doing wasn't right, but I didn't know the extent of what he was doing to me. Like, I can't explain it, but when you're in it, it's like something just takes over your mind and you're literally taking every day to survive.
Yeah.
Yeah.
In love with this person, you're obsessed with this person. So it's like you said, it's like something goes over you or comes over you that makes you blind. It's like what you're doing, but you can't even fathom the thought of being without this person or not being in a relationship with.
Well, I think eventually, like, after a little while, it wasn't even that. It was, I'm in so deep now, and he already can hurt me when I'm not even doing anything wrong. So when I tell him I'm leaving, I'm scared for that.
Yeah.
Well, and you think over and over, how do I leave this safely? And every time I tried to split up with him, he would either say he's coming for me, he's coming for my family, or he's gonna kill himself.
Yeah.
And one time I remember, I'd split up with him because he would cheat on a regular basis, like as if it was normal. He even got 2 other girls pregnant while we were together. But at that point, I was done with him in my mind, so I didn't care that he got somebody else pregnant, because I wanted him to leave with those girls. Like, be happy with your family and leave me alone. But he didn't. So, what was I saying about that?
So he'd got these 2. It wasn't about that.
Oh no, I've forgotten again. Oh, flip's sake, guys.
I'm gonna just cut you there anyway, not completely because we need to tell the end of the story, but we've got 12 minutes left.
Oh, sorry, I remember. Okay, I remember quickly. So he said that he was going to come for me, for you lot, or kill himself. So I was calling his phone after he said he was going to kill himself like 150 to 100 times. He pretended that he'd killed himself. And I didn't know what to do. He had sent me like a last message saying, I love you so much. If you're not going to be with me, like, I can't be without you, and blah, blah, blah. I thought he killed himself. After a little while, he called me again. He was alive. And that's how sick he was, that he'd planned all of this stuff just so that I would stay. So, okay, let me speed up then. What's your next question?
Just, I think the last bit of the story. So I remember the day that you obviously came home, you made the phone call, your best friend at the time was there at home. So just kind of go through what happened and why you had to make that call, and then just tell us what happened from then. Obviously, with the end of the story, you'll have to speed it up a little bit because we're going to get cut off.
Okay. So it was my 19th birthday. We had split up just before that. And he actually left me alone for a little while. So I reconnected with my friends. Like, we were going clubbing. I remember I wore another red dress, boob tube one, went to the city, and I had switched my. Oh, he called me earlier that day in the night that we were going to go out, and said, "Oh, like, I'm really sorry for everything I've done. Could I take you out for your birthday?" I said, "No, I'm going out." He knows I'm going out now, so he's calling me. I just switched off my phone, took the battery out, and went out. And I went with the group of girls, and I was planning to stay at my best friend at the time's house. When I turned on my phone, once we got back, I had nearly 200 missed calls. So I don't know how many text messages and voicemails of him screaming down the phone saying, "Every time you don't answer the phone, I'm putting another bullet in the strap. And if I don't find you, I'm going to find your family." That was the turning point, because I thought, I'm not at home. My whole family is at home.
Yeah.
Mum, Royston, Renee, and you two. He's going to get somebody. And I can't have that. That if he can't, I'd rather you just kill me off than touch my family. So I didn't know what to do. But I started breaking down at my friend's house. So she was like,
I'm going to cut you there because everyone in the comments is saying part 2, extension. So what I'm going to do, guys, I'm going to end the live now, and then I'm going to restart the live, and everyone just needs to rejoin. Then
okay.
Still a lot more to this story. So
I know, I've not even touched on it, really.
Yeah. All right, I'm going to end now, guys. Everyone rejoin, please. Thank you.